What's up, everyone? My name is Avery Smith, and I run a company called Data Career Jumpstart, where I help individuals transition from a job that they hate into a data analytics position. I've been doing that for the last 2.5, 3 years, and it's been a lot of fun because I can help people, who really hate their jobs get into a position that they like more, has more flexibility, and earn more money. Over the few years I've been doing this, I've mostly been doing live webinars as my sales sequence. Basically, I get people hyped up for an awesome event, give them a great time, and then sell them at the very end. I actually have done one live webinar every single week for about the past year, and I got very burnt out. It was exhausting. And so that's where I actually ended up finding eWebinar, because every single Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern time, I was going live. And it was great because I was getting sales from it, but it was not so great because one, every single Wednesday was taken up by a live sales call. And every single Monday Monday night was being taken out by a live training call with my students. So I already felt like I had no evenings during the week. And so that was really exhausting to just have one day of the week already removed for the whole entire time. That was exhausting. Didn't like doing that. Also, it was like very energetic. It required me to be energetic. You might not think this, but I'm actually an introvert and I don't like being on camera. And so being on camera for literally an hour to an hour and a half to 2 hours every single week was exhausting. And honestly, they could say whatever they wanted in the comments and I'd have to respond to it. And it was hard to give my presentation, manage the comments, and, try to be hoping for sales all at the same time. It was a lot to juggle. The other thing that was very difficult was the expectation of making sales. I knew that about 50% of that week's revenue would come from this call. And a lot of the times I'd give this presentation, I'd give this pitch, and I'd be like, all right, who's ready to buy? And no one would buy. And the letdown of doing an hour and a half of exhausting live work and then having no one buy was such a pitfall. And eventually I got to the point where I was like, this is not super sustainable. And I discovered eWebinar. The cool thing, and by the way, I was using Webinar Jam for most of these live webinars, and I started to seek out some sort of a different solution that would be more automated evergreen. I tried EverWebinar, and I just really didn't like the chat features in EverWebinar. Specifically, it was really important to me to still have some live feeling to the webinar, even though it was automated and evergreen, that I could step in and answer questions where needed if I was available. And EverWebinar didn't really have anything that was available to go directly to my phone. So like if I was at the grocery store, if I was on vacation, I could respond to someone quickly if I wanted to and I had the time. I then looked at Webinar Fuel, and although it has a lot of good features, I didn't love the chat nearly as much as eWebinar. The right-hand side, basically, of eWebinar, all of the interactions that pop up are insanely powerful, and they're keeping my viewers really engaged throughout the entire hour presentation that I'm giving. They're answering the questions, they're answering the polls. It's also great for me because I'm getting data on them that I previously didn't really get. Like I know where they're from. I know where they registered from. eWebinar is capturing that for me. I actually ask how they heard about this. Was it my podcast? Was it my LinkedIn? And so I'm actually seeing what is effective on my marketing standpoint to help me know who's actually in this webinar. So all of the right-hand side integrations are absolutely amazing. So the customers are really liking it. It's helped me because in the past 7 days, we've made about 9 automated sales, varying between $1,000 to $2,000 as our average cart value, all on autopilot. And now instead of the live webinar, at the end where I'm like, all right, who wants to buy? And I'm let down because no one's buying. I wake up to sales in my sleep and I'm stoked. I don't expect it. So I'm not let down. I'm actually elevated. And so it's really fun to not be expecting these sales and have this sales machine working for me on autopilot. So if you are running courses, you have a community, you have any sort of digital product, I highly recommend eWebinar because it's the best of both worlds. It's really beneficial to your customers because they get to choose when they want to watch. It's interactive and engaging. You don't actually have to be there unless you're needed. And if you are needed, you can step in and give that customer a personal experience. So I highly recommend it to any sort of coaches, creators, and other online course people. And I'm really enjoying it. I know you will as well.